What the Friday?
What's a Friday?
Hello and welcome to What the Friday with the Burch and Burch team, Bill and Morgan Burch in New Jersey and New York City.
And what the Friday it is.
Yes. Do I look awake? I feel like I didn't do a good job.
You've had a crazy week, and I'm surprised you got any time for any sleep, so I'm just happy you're here.
That's nice. It's more, it's not, yeah, thank you. That's nice of you.
As I get older, it seems to get easier to sleep. And
Is that
sleep
true?
more than I'm supposed to.
Do you think that's actually true?
Yeah, I think so. It could be because this career is a little bit easier on my soul than my last one.
Uh-oh.
You froze up.
Yeah, I think anxiety is a big part of it. Am I breaking up because you froze? Okay, we're using I tried the FiOS.
Mm-hmm.
Bad idea. Anyway, let's jump into it. Do you want to talk bidding wars? We called this the crashing wave of the real estate market, and the reason we called it that, Dad, is your fantastic analogy for what we are seeing happening here right now, which is
I'll take that as what do they call that? The segue or whatever.
I teed you up.
She teed me up. Basically, we've talked about how many people are moving to the suburbs, and especially from New York City, we have a lot of people that are just came crushing across the river. And of course, we thought that we were going to see a lot of that here on the Gold Coast.
Right.
We saw some, but not nearly as much as we thought we were going to have. And it all moved west to yards. It was all about yards, driveways, back decks and stuff. But it's blown up. And I know that in the last few weeks when you listen to this,
private entrance, ooh, baby.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants.
And they want it so much. Talk about the bidding process and how high things are going real quick, because you're working out in the county or out in the suburbs more than I am.
Yeah, you have to learn through experience, but there are bidding wars frequently, almost on average, going up to 50% over ask.
Right. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing 25, 30, 40, 50. Up to 50% over asking price to get a deal done. It's insane.
It's a seller's market. Most buyers are putting in a lot of offers before actually getting one accepted. And by the time they get there, it's because they're learning they have to keep increasing above ask, more. And they're getting outbid. Now we're seeing that, and it's so extreme in the suburbs that people a lot of the buyers who were in Manhattan and thinking, let me just go to a house, or in urban New Jersey and let's just get in a house. Let's get a house. Let's get a yard. I don't want to do this anymore. If I'm locked in somewhere, I want it to be more comfortable. They still have that thought process, except the cost is so high in the suburbs now, and the process is so painful because you have to put in so many offers and you have to go so much higher than you would expect, that your analogy of that's like a wave crashing against the suburbs. It gets really high, and then people start to come back and be like, all right, I do want a bigger place, but maybe instead of getting a house, I'll get a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom in the more urban New Jersey area. So there's still a little more space, but I don't have to compete with 15 people to get in. I only have to compete with 1 or 2 or 3,
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I was talking to a number of brokers out west in the suburbs a couple of days ago. Well, you were in the same meeting.
Yes, I was.
And they were talking about, because my thought was, how are these appraising?
How are these appraising? Yeah, well, that's a really good point. We should talk about that.
So what happens is a lot of the buyers are financing. Yeah. Part of the big rush right now is also due to super low interest rates that are mind-boggling. And when the mortgage company comes in as part of the process and they appraise a property and they look at the appraisal, sometimes you can run into a problem with that when you bid way over ask because comps don't match. And they're like, well, you'll never get your money back out of this. But somehow, whether it's appropriate or not, they're getting the deals done, and very few appraisals are kicking them back out as being too high. So that was a shocker. I
It was a
did
shocker
not
to me
assume that.
too. But yeah, appraisers are doing pretty well. I'm in an interesting position right now because one of my buyers, we have a property and we actually got it below ask, which is super rare. And I'm really worried about keeping that. I want to make sure that deal stays together because I think if it falls apart, that seller is going to get somebody else to buy it for a higher price. And so I'm like, okay, we can't, we don't want to give that impression to the seller that we're desperate and we'll do anything, but we also really don't want to push them too far because they will find someone else quickly.
Right. Yeah. And isn't that, it's always tough with your client because the clients, buyers and sellers look at the real estate industry and look at real estate agents and brokers with a sense of skepticism.
Yes, definitely.
That we're trying to talk them, and granted, there are some out there that do that, but not that many. But, you get into a pickle like this and you're looking at that and you're thinking, we really do not want to disturb this deal. We don't want to pick a fight over a home inspection that kicks us out or something out, one of the other contingencies in the contract. We want to keep this going. And you and I have both been in situations where we've represented the seller and the seller's like, we've got another offer that just came in.
Yeah, why don't we go with
that?
Yeah.
All cash, no contingencies. And then you have the other buyer they're trying to squeeze you, feeling like they've got to get their extra 2 cents worth.
Yeah.
And the seller's like, I don't like you anymore. I like the guy with the cash offer.
Why would I stick with you? You're, people, I mean, once you're under contract, they tend to stick with it because it's, hell, but every once in a while.
Every once in a while, things change.
And in this market, it's easy to find somebody to replace you, so.
We had that happen a couple of weeks ago, or I did, down on the waterfront. We had felt that the seller was, I was representing the buyer on that deal. And we felt the seller was under some pressure, so we squeezed, and just no sooner did we get into contract and send the contract off to attorney review that they got a higher cash offer. Yeah. And we were out instantly. And even the broker that handling it for the seller, who's somebody I really like and have a lot of respect for, called up and said, guess what?
I'm sure you're not surprised.
You're not surprised, but here's what happens.
That's fair.
That can happen. But when you go to your client, if you're representing the buyer and you tell them, I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would push any harder. They really don't think of themselves as being in a competitive setting with somebody else.
Right.
And that seller has somebody to choose from.
So it's binding and the seller should perform, but that's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And things change. And, speaking of that, let's, I want to talk about absorption rates real quick, and we'll talk about how things change. If you don't mind.
That was the most normal. I feel like we didn't. Wow. Okay. But here
we didn't practice that.
No. It was like the most, just no jokes, straightforward conversation about the market we've ever done. But that's about to change because Dad did this. Dad, tell me about these graphs.
God, I hate myself. This is one of the most frustrating things that we're changing to use Google more. I've got all my numbers in the Google spreadsheets. And then I go to do my charts today and I'm like, how come they're different? Crap. How do I make them the same?
Can't figure it out. He said he wouldn't share his screen because
Morgan's like, no, you have to share it anyway. I'm like, I don't have time. She's like, I can help you with this after we get done. No, I don't want them to look the same
because I think it's so funny. They don't make any sense and it's hilarious.
Well, imagine the top one and just putting dots on it and creating the line and comparing it to the bottom one.
You know what? Maybe it is the same. It just is a little spread out. Maybe it just needs...
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
We don't need to talk about it during our...
So what have you noticed in the absorption rate? What's the big takeaway?
Notice how much... let's take... First of all, the bottom one basically shows the suburbs or northern New Jersey as a whole. And you can see how it dipped, right? This COVID is close to the beginning of it. When we started to go into COVID, it dropped and then it's bounced back up again. And most markets don't change that fast. So now in the suburbs, basically, it's never been a buyer's market in the suburbs through this whole process. Our percentages have been pretty good. So it never did get down. I think in a buyer's market, most people would say that if it's down to 15 to 20%, then it's more of a buyer's market. So if you look here, see that that's 20%. So right here, we're in a buyer's market, but now look how things have changed just in the last week. And that's that, what we were talking about, the wave coming back toward us.
When you say look here, are you like using a cursor or something? I don't know.
I am. Oh, maybe you can't see it. Oh, I'm looking. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can move over and click on the screen and get my cursor to show up. There you go. So check this out. So if you can see my cursor, this is Hoboken. And we talked about how Hoboken was picking up and then it got softer again. But then bang, all of a sudden it's popping back up. This is 0.2. Let's say that's where it is definitely a buyer's market. So 3 weeks ago, we're in a solid buyer's market and it's been it's trending down.
Yeah.
Then the next week pops back up, and then this last week, bang. Now it's inventory is really dropping. And if you look at the statistics, if anybody out there actually wants to see the chart that I used to do this, you can see all the last column of numbers that I used over here to the left. We're actually starting to do it in a number of almost all the towns along the Gold Coast of New Jersey here. So the bottom line is that things are happening everywhere now, not just in the suburbs. And if you've been in Hoboken and waiting to get a deal, your time's about up. If you're a buyer and you were thinking, well, I want to wait and see what happens. Well, you've waited, and now
don't wait any longer.
We've tapped the bottom,
right.
And now it's coming back up. If you're close to making a deal with somebody, I'll tell you on behalf of your agent, you need to make that deal now. Because things are changing quickly.
Yes.
And it's going to happen more if we keep COVID under control. If a vaccine comes up, that's going to happen a little bit more.
And just, I think it's just people getting used to it. People are used to how to live in this scenario, and so they're actually taking action, and there's less fear.
Right. In New Jersey and New York have both done a great job of keeping.
Hoboken, I think, had 4 on Tuesday and 2 on Wednesday and 0 on Thursday or something like that. So that's not bad. That's low. That's good.
No, that's exactly right. So do you mind? Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I read your mind.
We're so
connected. We're such a good team.
So you're kind of the newsy one. What's your feeling about what's going on in the market generally?
I just have 2 news facts that I found interesting. We discussed many times, week over week. I keep being like, new construction single family homes throughout the entirety of the U.S. It doesn't matter what market you are in. If there's an option for a single family new construction home, that is the highest demand, highest priced piece of inventory out there right now. And that home building has picked up for a 3rd straight month in July. And the interesting other side to that is that there's a lumber shortage now because we just can't keep up with the demand. So that's fascinating.
That's probably going to impact construction prices.
Yeah, definitely. Supply demand, classic. So what was my other, hold on, I wrote this down. Housing starts increased by 22.6%, which is a massive increase, far more than expected and more than is average. So more than the industry was prepared for.
It seems odd with the way things are going employment wise.
Yeah, kind of. So I was thinking about this too. And the single family new construction homes are a higher dollar home. So I think that the type of employment that is less affected right now is the higher level, you can work from home jobs. So, and a lot of those jobs have actually not decreased in productivity. And because of that sector of employees and buyers aren't really affected financially. And so they can still go and buy that dream home. That's a new.
But then you've got all the people that are renting and can't pay rent, or that own and no longer have a job.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, are you setting me up because you see what's next? Because that's exactly what I was about to talk about.
Part of the same.
Well, so
Go ahead.
one analysis said that more than 29 million Americans in 13 million households are across the US are likely to face eviction by the end of the year. And I mean, that's actually both bad and good in a way. It's not good that anyone is facing eviction. Here's why I'm saying that. The reason for this is, I'll come back. Hold on. I'm going to save myself. Hold on. The reason for this is because there was a moratorium, like you weren't able to evict anyone, but that hurts the landlord to as well. So
Basically, it's an equal dollars wise. It's one person or the other.
it's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not saying the landlord is more important than the tenant or the tenant is more important than the landlord.
Right.
That's why I'm saying it's both bad and good, because it's
Depends on who you are
not
and what the
allowing
situation
eviction
is.
means that landlords cannot make income, which means that 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 hurts the housing market drastically, because then there's no incentive to be a landlord, and they're in dire straits financially on a massive scale. So then all of those units that aren't getting rent paid, the landlord can't make those payments to whomever he needs to make those payments to, and thus that hurts our economy drastically. But on the other end of the scale, tenants need places to live, and so if you're evicting them, where do they go if they can't afford rent? So it's just a mess in general.
Waiting to happen, because it's
Yeah,
like we keep talking about it, but
it hasn't happened yet.
we're not
There
really
is
seeing the impact of it as
there's an
much.
act. Is it called the Dream Act? It's called the Dream Act. What is that? There is something being proposed where landlords can't evict you, but I can't remember what the name of it is. I think
Yeah, I thought I read something that
Dream
starting
Act?
at the end of July, some landlords could, or was that commercial? Those were commercial evictions, maybe
Oh, I don't know. It hasn't been passed, and it would
in
have
New
to make it
York.
through both the House and the Senate for it to work.
Okay, yeah,
But
see,
anyway, that's interesting. And
yeah,
and there was a Census Bureau survey that found that 1/3 of Americans are likely not to make their rent payment for August, which is a crazy high number.
I have to look at that. I read something in the Real Deal a few days ago with some more really current statistics on that. I don't think it's
Oh,
that way here, but
no, that's just
they
in
would.
America
If I
at
can
large.
keep my head together, we'll talk
But
about it next week.
missing 1 month rent is very different than being evicted, because that's a sustained lack of rental payment.
Yeah, and as a landlord, you've got to look at who are you going to find, because right now, our market, when it comes to rentals in particular, Manhattan, the metro area of New Jersey,
Yeah.
rental concessions are incredible. Like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months.
Yes.
I saw a
Exactly.
statistic of almost 30% concessions in one way or another toward annual rent.
Especially new construction rentals, especially those.
Yeah.
Actually, quick tip to all landlords and renters: if you're a renter and you can't pay your rent, or if you're a landlord and you have a tenant who can't pay their rent, it does not have to be all or nothing. Try to negotiate, like, hey, can I just pay half rent for the next 2 months or 3 months? Or from a landlord perspective, I know you can't pay, so let's figure out something. Maybe you pay later, maybe it's a loan, maybe it's a process out. Like,
Maybe it's a free month, because
maybe
if
it's just
you may be
straight up a
giving
free
away one
month,
or two free months
because
plus a
it's going to be
broker's
harder
fee
to
to
find
get
somebody
somebody
to
in there.
replace them anyway. So just be creative and flexible. It's not all or nothing. That's the biggest tip of
Yeah,
having
good
a
communication almost always is the best
Yes,
bet there.
literally everything is a relationship. I mean, almost everything is a relationship. And so when it comes to business, we think of things clear cut, it's either this way or that way. It's this is how it needs to be done. So you don't get praised for doing the right thing, and they get critiqued on doing the wrong thing. And that's true for renters too. Like, they pay on time, they do all this stuff. That's great. Tell them that's great. Like, it's a relationship, and people are we're all social and relational. So if you want it to work out, it's like that song from Wicked called Popular. Do you know the lyrics to that song? It's so good.
I don't have it memorized now, but I've heard the song before. I've heard you sing it before. You're
Yes.
actually quite good at it.
Thank you, Father.
So thinking about you, I haven't gotten to see you much lately. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been very busy. I've been juggling a lot of things. And
what are you liking? Are you doing anything? Do you have like getting to watch anything on TV?
No, you're
Anything
referencing
else?
that. Okay, so I started watching The Last Dance, and I've only been able to watch it in like 15 to 20 minute segments, and then I have to, take a call or go to sleep or whatever at night because we do a lot of work in the evenings after other people are done working. But The Last Dance is incredible, and I want you to watch it because I'm only
The Last Dance
3 at this place.
So
It's
like
about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in their heyday. And it breaks down not just Michael Jordan, but Phil Jackson, the coach, and where I'm at. I don't know if they're going to talk about other people, but I would really like you to watch it. I'd like to finish it myself because I think it would inform at least a conversation about how we lead and how to run a good team.
Which is important to us because we are wanting to grow our team now.
Yes, and grow it very well.
Yeah, and do a good job so that our clients are like super happy. We want to be.
Yeah, thanks for segueing into that. We were talking about it earlier, and I was. Yeah, you said clients are super happy, and what?
Well, we want to be a great team. We need a team so that we can cover as many bases as possible at one time. We've done a lot of work that people can't see behind the scenes with.
Yeah.
Our project management software that we're using, we have a flow chart system that we're using to flow chart all of our systems too. We have an assistant.
You love that flow
online. I do. I love that a lot.
It's really helpful. I make fun of you for it, but I really like it too.
Thank you. That was a very gracious thing for you to say. I really appreciate that.
Really? Jeez, how bad have I been to you about this? I'm so sorry. I just like laughing, Dad. So I just make fun of you, but I don't really mean it.
Make fun of me, roll your eyes. Depends on how much energy you've got. If you don't have much energy, you're like, you just walk away. Morgan, did you hear what I said? Yes.
Yes. Yes, I did. This is what you would like. Got it.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. It's good to see you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good to see you too. Wrapping it up, we are.
Let's see what else. Oh, you should notice we'll have a new intro and outro that I think you're going to put in, right?
For other locations, like just YouTube.
For wherever, yeah.
Yeah, since this is live.
That's not my thing.
Yes, we have an intro, outro that we're going to use temporarily, and then we're going to replace it because I don't like it very much.
It's one of those meetings. The world is run by those that show up.
Show up and do it. And you showed up and you did it. And so we're going to do that. And you know what? It's not the critic who counts. It's the man in the arena. And on this one, you were in the arena. And for that...
And the crowd goes wild.
Bloody and marred. If you fail, at least you failed daring greatly. And I sat in the bleachers and was like, that's kind of a crappy intro.
We talked about it. I said, it'd be nice that we do enough of this. We should really have more of a professional beginning and ending to this thing. And she said, oh, an intro and an outro. And I said, yeah, one of those things. So I just hired a contractor and said, I need one. And they said, okay, we'll do a couple.
You've been really good at that. You make it happen. It's inspiring.
Well, it's a lot easier for people to, when the sheet's not blank.
Yes.
And I'm pretty good with a blank sheet of paper, but you're good at making what got on it look better after somebody put something on it.
Well, so are you. Anybody is. The true visionary is the one who can make a blank canvas and turn it into Picasso.
Right. Okay. Well, no, it's a team thing.
Or Victor Klimt. Two of my friends are really big fans of him as an artist. And
who's Victor Klimt?
I'll send you some of his art. But it's irrelevant to this.
Anybody else know? Am I the only one that doesn't know?
I felt that way. I was like, oh, he seems very famous.
I
am uneducated. Great. Good. Glad to
have
know
a
my
sign.
ignorance at least.
If I had a little Sims bubble that would be over my head, that's what the bubble would say. Please forgive me. I'm undereducated. What does that mean?
What? Explain.
So
Okay.
anyway, if you're watching, thanks for hanging around with us. Please
Yes.
do hit the like button. We could use that. That helps a
Yeah.
lot.
I know, even if you don't like it.
Even if you don't like
Even if you don't like it, would you just mind just clicking the like button? That would be great. Thanks.
It's like being married.
You can leave a
Even if you
comment that
don't
says
like
I
me
hate
right
you,
now.
and that'll help too, because it's all about the algorithm. So we don't care. You know, we'd prefer it if you didn't say that you hated us, because
We would care.
we would care.
Why would you say that? What
Oh
happened?
man, we really do suck, don't we? No. We're fine. Ay. Okay.
So anyway, all right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging around with us on this Friday for our most recent edition of What the Friday.
Yes.
And
Like, subscribe, follow, friend, all of our information.
yeah. And if you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent, or you are one and want to join a team that's just as bubbly and vivacious as we are, then let us know. Especially if you're good and you're honest and just do a generally good job. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, honest is a big one. Okay. Thank
All right.
you. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Shake and bake. I love you,
Shake
Dad.
and bake. Love you too, baby. See ya.